The Resident Evil Village demo, Maiden, has a lot of interesting things to see. So let's jump right in and talk about them. Hanging from the ceiling. Once you escape the cell and move forward in the dungeon, you can look up and spot a bunch of half-bodies hanging from the ceiling. Taking a closer look at one of these, later that will fall from the ceiling onto the ground, you can see that they do resemble the lower half of a body. I want you to keep that in mind, because we will revisit this idea later on in this video.
Torture City. As you explore through the dungeon, you will come across a variety of different types of torture equipment. The equipment includes torture chairs, full body restraints, shame masks, and more. One of the cool details is you'll come across a rack of tools that will be used to lead prisoners around. This might provide some insight as how they led prisoners into the dungeon. Another interesting note is that it could very well be that the Maiden is wearing a shame mask. Shame masks were generally fitted with an attachment that went into the mouth, causing discomfort, pain, or injury. This would make speech impossible, and we at LTRE theorize that this is why the Maiden does not speak. These particular masks were known as Scold's bridles.
The Bolt Cutter Lady. In the dungeon section of the demo, you will come across a corpse in one of the cells that will later slouch over to reveal the bolt cutters. However, once the Maiden picks up the lockpick, this body will once again move, this time blocking the Maiden from entering the cell where she picked up the bolt cutters again. Curiously, the words, "Help me, brother," are written on the wall in her cell.
The Soldier's Chamber. Once escaping the dungeon, you'll come across a chamber depicting soldiers along the walls, with a single-lit brazier hanging from the ceiling. In the trailer of Village, you can see the room with the entrance to the dungeon blocked. It is safe to assume that there will be some type of puzzle to be solved in order to access the dungeon, as the stairs are seen below the fake wall in the trailer that can also be seen in the demo.
The wine is people. One of the common occurrences in the Maiden demo is the presence of large barrels of what seem to be wine. This is not just true of the barrels, as wine plays a heavy theme throughout the entire castle as well. Interestingly, there are a few interactions with these barrels of wine that can be triggered while going through the demo. Once you come up from the soldier chamber, you will come across a small dining area, where a haunting hand protrudes out of a large barrel on the floor. Keen players will notice that this hand moves, as if the person inside is still alive. However, if you backtrack a little bit and move in close to some of the barrels that line the wall on the shelves, they will shift and you will hear the haunting sounds of groaning that seemingly come from within these barrels. Remember what we said earlier about the hanging bodies? Well, it's just a theory, but we think that the top halves of these bodies are stuffed inside of these barrels and are being used to flavor the wine. I know what you're thinking. How would half a person be kept alive? Well, we have an entire video on that exact theory that will be launching on the channel soon. And if you're watching this in the archives, the video will be linked in the description below. So as you can see, there are a ton of things to talk about, just from the Maiden demo alone. So stay tuned, because we have more things coming this week.
This video was brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, where users like Jack Fleming make it possible to keep on delivering awesome content. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.